Hello, this is SWAT 4 and the timer starts now. Alright, so in this game you're playing as a SWAT officer and you're leading your SWAT team. A big surprise. And you'll mostly be dealing with suspects barricading themselves inside buildings or like hostage situations. So the very first thing you'll notice is that I am actually shooting the hostages in the face, and I do this because I am supposed to apprehend hostages and suspects, and the reason I have to apprehend hostages is probably because they might be they might be in on it. They might not be carrying a weapon, but they might still be guilty, and they need to be interrogated. So ideally I take out my handcuffs and I handcuff them. However, that is slow, so what I do instead is, if you take a weapon, I think any weapon works, with armor-piercing bullets and then shoot a person in the head, they won't die, but they will go incapacitated on the floor. And by incapacitating your hostages or civilians, you won't need to handcuff them, and it counts as rescuing them. So that's a glitch or something, I don't know. But yeah, you need to have armor-piercing bullets so that they don't just die right away. As for suspects, I just shoot them. So I'll be switching back and forth between semi-automatic and 3-round bursts on the submachine gun that I have. Alright, so we're already on the second level. These first two levels are really just introductory levels. There's not much to them. RNG can be a bit nasty on the second level, but it's no big deal. So now we're going to the third level, and this is really the first level where there's a lot of suspects to be dealing with. Another thing you'll notice is that I'm moving during the dispatch intro cutscene of each level. I do this by holding directional keys during the loading before the level, and then when the level starts I will be moving during the dispatch, but I can't send any other inputs. I can let go of input and somewhat steer that way, but it's a minor time saver. It adds up overall, because there's like 11 or 13 levels, I forgot the exact amount. It's some uneven number, a prime number. So in this level it's a bit big. I sent my team into this shopping area from the other door, and then I just clear this area. So you see is one of the suspects, so I don't bother aiming for her head. Pardon my phone. This guy, his head is not solid, so I just decided to give up and let my team handcuff him while I clear out the last of his room. Turns out he was the last guy I needed to take care of. Excuse me. So A-bomb Nightclub, the 4th level. I could move straight forward here, but there's usually, or not usually, sometimes there's a guy right around the corner and he will shoot me before I actually gain control, and then I have to restart the level, and it's just such a major time loss that it's not worth it. This room has always a lot of suspects in it. This guy shoots me in the leg, and because of that I have to just restart so that I can actually run through the entire level quickly, as opposed to just stumbling the rest of my way. It would lose a lot of time, because you move really slowly if you get shot in the leg. Luckily it's at the start of the level, so it's not that big of a time loss, but oh well. So now the room is a bit more empty. I tell my team to go into one of these doors, hopefully. I don't, apparently. Ah, there we go. And now I toss some smoke grenades through these windows of the upstairs lounge, but I don't know exactly what it is. Because that room is packed with suspects every time. So reload here, because there might be another suspect in this hallway. Yeah, there he is. I don't get to shoot him, he runs off. But hopefully you'll get to see, yeah, just there's already 2 around this corner. And then there's this guy right to the left here trying to shoot me. And then there's this guy. There is a lot of people in this room every time. Well, not every time, because the merits of this game is that the the locations and the amount of suspects and civilians oh my god, excuse me. The amount and locations of suspects and civilians is somewhat randomized. So every playthrough is a bit different, and that's what makes this run hard as well to root. You'll see me check out a room only to find out it's empty, and like, had I known it was empty, I didn't need to go there, right? But I won't know if it's empty, so I'm just taking, I'm making sure that it's really not empty. There's a bit of a pattern, like if that woman is there, then there's usually, or I think every time, there's a suspect behind that wall at the very end there. So there's some predictability, but not a lot. Also, I equipped the breaching shotgun here. This door is locked always, so I pressed the breaching shotgun button during the loading, same way as the movement keys. This level is actually really nasty for speedrunning, because there's a lot of ways that suspects can run back and forth between one end of the level and the other. So what I have to do is I have to position my red team at the top of the stairs there, and then blue team at the bottom. And then ideally any like suspect or civilian that will start to run off because I scared them will run into them at some point. But it doesn't always work. This level is just, it has too many pathways from one end to the other, and sometimes they just hide and I have to chase them down. What I do though is once I check out the area behind that door that the guy just opened, is I will send my teams to breach another door. I will tell them go through this door right here, and then red team I'll tell to go through this door, and then they'll walk from one end of the level to the other, and they'll just clear out any suspects they will see. As you can see in the top right corner, there's this little image in image. I can see what my teammates are seeing, and you could see that there was a suspect. Alright, so this toilet, I think it is usually locked. But the problem is, if I breach that door, there's going to be a guy behind it sometimes, and then I have to breach his face, otherwise he will shoot me, and it's at the end of his level, so that loses a lot of time if that guy kills me, but it's probably the most dangerous guy in this level. Here I switch to the other entrance, just because it's more ideal. Really what I want to do is I want to make a path as linear as possible through these open levels, so one entrance is better for that than the other. Check around this corner. If I breach this door, if there's a guy over there, he'll usually just pop around the corner. And here I got shot in the leg again, so it's better to just restart. If you can hear a washing machine in the background, my apologies. There's some laundry being done. I'll see if I can noise cancel that out. Alright, so now there's a guy here, but he usually just turns his back towards you and I can breach his face. And then I check if there's one guy over there. There isn't. There's usually one guy on the stairs here. I tell my team to put a door wedge on that door so that it cannot be used anymore to run away from me by other suspects. And this is the server room. I got away with not seeing a suspect there. He could have had me had he not feigned a surrender. And then yeah, there's usually a lot of suspects in these 3 rooms as well, in the server room. I don't think that's whatever. Yeah, just look, there's like 2 guys and 1 civilian. I ran out of ammo even. I had to equip my handgun. Luckily the shooting in the head to incapacitate them without killing them works with any gun, as far as I know. As far as I've tested. I've not tested all guns, but I've tested most of the guns. And like all of them will not kill your target if they have armor-piercing bullets. So here there's usually a lot of suspects as well. I order my red team to camp in this hallway so that anyone who runs will run into them, and then I order blue team to go into the meeting room and just clear it out. And then when I get to this balcony, I usually look down and just snipe anyone. I'm not sure if I do that this run. It's a fairly old run. I might not have done that in my PB. No, I don't bother. I mean, I shot some people, but not all of them. So, oh, no, I'm turning back. Yeah, there's some civilians down there, but I don't bother shooting them from up here. It will be faster to shoot them from up there, but... Oh, the reason is because I got shot in the chest, so my accuracy is degraded, and that's why I can't do it. Okay, that makes sense. I was wondering why I didn't do this. There's a little trick on these stairs here. If you hug the railing and then turn at a specific angle, you can walk down them faster without doing the stair walking animation, which is really slow. And then I order red team to go in there. And blue team died because I sent them down into that area below the balcony. And I got them killed. Oh, and this woman is running back. That's not nice. Luckily I caught her. These toilets, they used to get me real good, and I would always die on these toilets, but now they're just easy. You peek around the corner and you shoot that guy. He's always there. And then here is the last room, and hopefully blue team has taken care of all the suspects, and I've already shot some from the balcony. Oh no, here's one. And then all I have left to do is to just execute the civilians to pass the level. And there we go, you've completed a mission. Debrief, next mission. Yeah, normally I'm supposed to gather all the evidence, which is the weapons they drop, and I report all the casualties and statuses to talk, and that gives me some more points. But because I'm playing on easy, I don't care about my score, which is why I can also rake up all the penalties for using force that's not allowed. Unauthorized use of deadly force. But because I'm playing on easy, I don't need to worry about getting a minimum score. On hard, you'd have to get a minimum score of 75, but on easy it's 0. And you can't get a negative score, so it means that if you don't die, you will always pass the mission. Unless, of course, you shoot a civilian and kill him, as opposed to merely incapacitating them, but you know, that's not something that I expect to happen. And then I ran out of ammo. Ammo management is actually surprisingly important in this run. You have 4 clips, which usually might be enough. You're not supposed to shoot people, but I am anyway. And that's why I love this speedrun, because I'm doing things I'm not supposed to. And yeah, here this map is roughly shaped like a 0 or like a Q, I guess, with like the circle and then like a pointy end sticking out, and you start at the linear bit, and then the rest of the map is a circle. And so what I do is I send my team one way around the circle, and then myself the other way around the circle, and then our routes converge and we'll have cleared all the rooms. And that went really well, apparently. The next level is Duplessis Diamond Center. It's a rather difficult map. There's a lot of aggressive suspects, but I like to think that I've gotten pretty good at this map. The first thing I'll do is I'll send my blue team into that door to clear the room, and then I'll send my red team, or the other way around, I'll send my blue team to the other door, and then I'll just have them camp there until I converge with their paths again, and that will just take care of any suspects who run off. And also with those rooms that are there, because those rooms can be quite deadly actually. This game is very unforgiving, especially for speedruns. If you get shot, then, like as I said, if you get shot in the leg, your speed just dramatically decreases. If you get shot in the hand, your accuracy dramatically increases. Or decreases. Yeah, this room is pretty predictable. There could be a guy behind the big pillar that was in the center of the room, but The only time there's a guy behind that pillar if there's a civilian in behind the desk, and there wasn't a civilian behind the desk, so I didn't need to check behind the pillar. This room is... I don't understand this room. And now I go back here onto this balcony just to make sure that no suspects ran this way. And turns out one of them did. And it's probably... I'm not happy with how that works out in my route. Chasing that guy down every time, but I see no other way for routing this level. Alright, and then for going down the stairs, there's another glitch here. You can walk on a ledge. It's a really common thing in a lot of 3D games where you can walk on a ledge like that. And that's my red team. And I send red team into that door, and I just check this area. There's no one here. And then blue team I have sent somewhere else earlier. And they check out this area. And I just make sure if blue team did a good job on clearing that room, because usually they don't. As I said, had I known that there was no one there, I wouldn't have checked it out, but you can't know because of all the irregular patterns that the enemies or the NPCs can spawn in. So now for the most difficult part of this map, it's the vault. There's usually a lot of suspects in the vault. Usually if I toss a flashbang in before going in myself, it takes care of some of them, and then I can just shoot the rest. So there's one more guy. I don't think my flashbang got him. But yeah, if I go this way, they usually won't spot me. And then this should be the last room. There we go, completed. Debrief and on to the next mission. And the next mission is Children of Their Own Tenement. And this level is the prime example of the random locations for NPCs. This level, I have not seen two identical patterns on this level. I think it's always different, and it can be ridiculous. There can be 5 suspects in one room. And to make it harder, suspects look identical to civilians on this level. So I can't just shoot if I recognize their outfit and see that, like on a previous level, the suspects were carrying body armor and green suits, and they were really recognizable as the bad guy, but here the bad guy and the good guy look the same. So I really have to watch my fire that I don't accidentally kill a civilian. And this is definitely the most difficult level in this game, by far, in the speedrun. And if I'm not mistaken, I actually failed this level in this run, in my PB. So this door is usually locked, and this is one of the rooms where there's like 4 evil guys and 1 good guy. And so what I do is throw a flashbang in, and then shoot everyone, and I have to make sure they're carrying a gun. If they don't carry a gun, like this guy, he's the good guy, but he looks exactly the same, and my red team got killed. So yeah, just checking this room. Because red team got killed, I had suspected that one of the suspects had ran into the hallway there, so I checked it out. I don't usually check it out. And then this door is locked for some reason, so I had to breach it. Usually it's usually the same doors that are always locked, so I know when to pull out my breaching shotgun early. And what happened there, another difficult thing on this level is it's filled with explosives, so one bullet going the wrong way and the whole place explodes, the whole room explodes, killing the innocents, and I have to restart, so that is really nasty. Yeah, yes, I have no idea if that was, I think that was a bad guy, but I shot him in the head anyway to make sure. And then I use my sniper viewport. You can control the sniper to clear out that one room, because that's a pretty deadly room. But there was a civilian there and I couldn't shoot him. And that's a civilian, I think. Anyway, yeah, I saw some people and Sierra 2, which is a sniper that was currently behind the other door, so I just tell blue team to clear out that room, and you can see blue team is walking in on the window, picture-in-picture window. So this door is locked, and I can already see there's a guy behind him, and he opened the door for me as I was carrying a breaching shotgun. Luckily I was able to switch to a more deadly weapon before he saw me. Again, there's 2 suspects in here and 1 civilian, so I really have to target ID. This room can be very deadly because of this guy, and then that guy is a civilian, I think. It's really hard to tell. That room, by the way, behind that door in front of me right now, not right now, but now, it's probably the most deadly room. You can see like my red team just got slaughtered. That's usually just like that room with the projector in it from earlier. There's usually like 5 suspects in here and 1 civilian. Also, that door is locked, so I wait a bit for her to open the door, so I don't need to breach it, and then I shoot her. And this room is probably empty. And then we're back in the hallway where we started the level, and I order my blue team through the window to open a door, and then they'll clear out one of the rooms, a staircase room that I haven't checked yet on the upstairs floor. And then in this room there's a lot of suspects. Or, well, 1, which is a lot for that room. Usually the room is empty. And I got shot in the leg, and you can see how slowly I'm moving now. I am moving so slowly. Fortunately it's at the end of the level, so I don't have a lot left to do, but still it's painful. So blue team has cleared out this room, hopefully, and now we just have to do the basement, which is the 3rd room that can have a whole lot of suspects in them, like 5, and then usually 1 innocent as well, and he's usually standing right in between, so he gets caught in a crossfire. There we go, look at that guy just crouching there, and I get rid of him first so that he doesn't get shot by the suspects and dies. Because that would be painful if that guy dies, because this is the last room. There we go, my team took care of everyone. So I didn't need to, because it would have taken ages for me to walk over to the far end now. Next room is St. Michael's. This is probably one of the most linearly designed maps. You just walk from point A to B. And that solves, that lets you clear every room. Although there's a lot of side rooms, but they don't really matter. Provided I take the alternate entrance though, and not the main entrance. Yeah, this level was probably the easiest to route, because it's just point A to point B. So my team goes into that room, and I go into this room. This room has usually no one in it, or maybe 1 civilian, and then this room has a lot of people in it. And as you can see, there's like three bodies on the floor, and good job team, you took care of it. There's usually a suspect behind this pillar here. I gotta sneeze, hold on. Yeah, no sneeze. Alright, so I order my team through that door, I go through this door myself. And there's usually a guy here. This is a really straightforward map. So while I send one team, my team in to clear the other room, I check out this room. Usually there's like 2 suspects in that room, and sometimes it's empty. And I don't bother checking that room myself. If there is someone in there, then my team would start shouting like, "Hey, get your hands up on the floor." But they don't now, so I know there's no one in there. Alright, here's a bit of a non-linear, or not linear, circular path. This hallway that I'm in right now, it goes around a big room. And so I have to like flank the enemy with my team and myself. If there is an enemy. Which there is apparently. So I just tell my team to go through that door, which means, and because I sent them into another door earlier, they'll actually approach that door from the other side. Turns out that room is empty, so I didn't need to flank anyone because there wasn't anyone. The walkout projects. Good thing about the walkout projects is there's hardly any civilians and they are in 1 or 2 spots. So I can just shoot on sight, except not really, because there is an undercover agent who I cannot kill. Fortunately he gives up as soon as he sees you, so it's kind of easy to spot him, and he also spawns in 1 of 4 places, I think. So it's not like I will see him anywhere where I don't expect him. So yeah, this level is shoot on sight. The problem is the enemy also shoots on sight, so it's really easy to die on this level. And there's a lot. That's the guy that's undercover. I said that he wasn't in an area where I don't expect him, but he actually was in an area where I didn't expect him. I think he just ran over there and he didn't actually spawn there. And that should be the only civilian that I just shot now. There might be another one at the very end of this level. So I tell blue team to enter that last room, so I don't need to check it myself. That's my phone, my apologies. And now I clear out these last few rooms. And this guy was missed. Oh, he shot red team. Red team just died. And then there's 1 room left. And there's a guy right around the corner here, so I wait for him to empty his gun, run out of ammo, and then I peek around and shoot him myself. I press tab there to see if there's any civilians alive. Turns out there was a civilian but no suspects, and usually it's the other way around, so I knew that there was no one behind that door, and I could just go straight for the civilian. Alt Granite Hotel. The penultimate level, probably my favorite as well. This level is shaped like an 8. So if you were to pick the main entrance, you would start at the top of the 8, and then you'd have to choose, do I go left or right? And it's really annoying. So what I do is I pick the alternate entrance, where you start at the middle of the 8, and then I do 1 circle of the 8 and then the other. This is the bottom floor of the hotel, and this one's really predictable on this floor. This is probably one of the more predictable levels, actually. There's not a lot of variety in this in the spawn patterns. Like for this room example, there's no one in there except for in this toilet, which is locked. But because I breached that door, that guy's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he opens the door to check it out every time. And I think I've had only once where that guy just didn't spawn and that toilet was actually empty. And if he did spawn, he would behave the same always. This is a really predictable level. This guy on the left, he's always there. Always, mostly always. Like, if he doesn't, it's rare. And that's the bottom floor done. Now I go back to the stairwell and I go upstairs. And this level actually has some bombs in it, so I tell my team to disable the bombs. And while he does that, I will check out this room on the left. And there's usually it's either empty or there's 1 suspect in there, or there's 2 suspects with a civilian. So it's not completely random. It's usually just a set of patterns, and then these bombs there's 4 bombs in total. 1 of them will always spawn on the stairs, and then the other 3 are can be in like 6 different locations, or maybe 7. This room is really deadly. There's usually always 3 suspects in there with a civilian, and I have to empty an entire clip just for that 1 room. Usually there's 1 suspect in here. There's a civilian too. I suspect I got the civilian caught in the crossfire, so I wasn't sure if I could afford shooting him in the head again. So what I did was I just shot him in the leg a couple of times until he goes incapacitated. And that works too. because if they take any damage at all and then I shoot them in the head, then they will die, because I do like the bare maximum of damage shooting them in the head. So I can't afford for them to take any other damage. Alright, and here's the last room. I think we found all the bombs. The problem with disabling bombs is if one team member is already disabling a bomb, you can't order the other team member to disable the bomb, because then the first team member will stop. So I had to wait a little bit. It was really awkward planning out the bomb diffuser. And this is the last map. And this map is shaped like a maze. There's a lot of rooms, there's a lot of doors into the rooms, and there's a lot of ways to go back and forth. Fortunately, I feel that the suspects are just as bad at navigating the map as players are, which means that there will not be a lot of running back and forth, fortunately. So I plan out a route to get out all these bottleneck areas and approach from one side. And then apparently while my team was clearing out the other room, they accidentally shot a civilian to death and I failed the mission. So we just restart. And yeah, if anything goes wrong, you have to restart the entire level. If that happens at the end of a level like 2 times in a row, you've already lost like 8 minutes, right, if it's a long level. So I have to be really forgiving with the estimate here. And then I accidentally shot that guy. Not having a lot of luck here on this last level. I would say, like, I think if you were to ask most of the SWAT players if this is what their most difficult level was, they would probably answer this level. And I've heard stories from people who played this game and then got to this level and then actually didn't beat it, just because of how difficult the level is. But for speedruns, I think it's actually I've nailed it down pretty well. But as is common, usually with this game, nailing down something doesn't mean that it's going to be flawless. Yeah, you can see, like, this is only like the second room or something like that, and already I've shot like 4 suspects and 3 civilians in this room alone. There's usually, like, there's a lot of stuff in the way here. I want to make sure there's not a suspect hiding behind a pillar or behind a desk, but usually there's only that one guy. Alright, my team left these civilians here that I just need to take care of while they hopefully clear the other room. There we go. And this room isn't very significant. And then this room is. This is a big room. There's usually not a lot of suspects next to this. Usually like 2 at most. And then maybe a civilian. There we go, here's the civilian. And then I, just like I did on Children of Throne, I pointed through the window at a door and told my team, hey, go clear that room. And they'll just walk through the entire level trying to get there. And while they do that, I take care of these 3 civilians that are always in this room. And these 2 doors lead to the same room, so we're flanking the enemy. I approach from one side, I approach from the other, and then it turns out there's no enemies. But yeah, you can never be too careful in this run. If there was a lot of enemies and I were to go in alone and they shot me, I would have lost a lot of minutes. So, you don't want that to happen. One other thing on this level is there's a suitcase that I need to secure. A briefcase rather, not a suitcase. And no one can ever find it, but it turns out the suitcase always spawns next to one specific civilian. So if you see the civilian, then the suitcase is next to him. And it's a guy dressed in green. I haven't seen him yet, so that means he is in the last room, right behind that door. This door. And yeah, there's the suitcase, or the briefcase rather, on the thing there. And then because this is the last room, my team has already cleared it. I just need to execute these civilians, and that's it. Time. And that's 34 minutes and 40 seconds. With that Children of Throne time loss in, you know, it can go down until like 30 or maybe even below 30. But this game is so based on luck and randomness and the reaction time that, you know, getting that time might be pretty difficult. So this was my quick commentary on this run. I didn't really plan any notes beforehand or something, so if it seems like I'm rambling on or was that a lot of words, then that's why. I just did this out of the blue. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.